of legislation. But if there was ever a topic that deserves a strong showing of bipartisan support, it's standing up to bigotry and racism against a particular group of Americans. Today, we will continue to work on a bipartisan agreement regarding amendments. I've committed to start the process with the bipartisan Moran-Blumenthal amendment. I understand my Republican colleague from Maine has some modifications to the bill, which we welcome, and those negotiations are proceeding afoot. I expect the Republican leader and I, in consultation with the relevant committees, will be able to figure out an appropriate number of reasonable, germane, non-gotcha amendments for the Senate to consider. We are working with Senators Moran and Grassley and Collins in a very bipartisan way, and we should be able to wrap up this bill next week. By doing so, the Senate will deliver a powerful message to Asian Americans that their voices are heard, their concerns are felt, and that their government will take swift, decisive action to protect them. They are not alone. Before I move on, I just want to say to my Republican colleagues, this is how the Senate can work, even though it's closely divided. When there's a pressing issue, like the rising tide of anti-Asian violence, the Senate can act quickly and in a bipartisan way to address it. We don't need to always distrust the other party. This bill was never intended to be a messaging bill or gotcha legislation. This bill is like a drive straight down the middle of the fairway, well-timed, modest, unobjectionable. At the end of the day, we can achieve a result that has both substantive and symbolic importance. Substantive, because we're going to adjust the focus of the Justice Department to better respond to anti-Asian hate crimes. And symbolic, because both parties are standing up to deliver a message that racism and bigotry have no place in America. That's an undeniably good result. On another, less happy matter, this afternoon the Senate will need to go through a rare procedure to discharge a nomination from the Judiciary Committee, Ms. Vanita Gupta, to serve as Associate Attorney General. The daughter of immigrants from India, Ms. Gupta is the first civil rights attorney and the first woman of color to ever be nominated for Associate Attorney General, the third-ranking official at the Department of Justice. Her public track record is nothing short of exemplary. In her very first case after law school, Ms. Gupta won the release of several African Americans who had been wrongly convicted by all-white juries in Texas, clients who eventually won a pardon from Texas Governor Rick Perry. She continued her work at the ACLU, where she launched a bipartisan criminal justice reform effort before going on to lead the Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department under President Obama. Despite her sterling credentials, some of my Republican colleagues on the Judiciary Committee would have you believe that Ms. Gupta is some hair-raising left-wing radical. In her hearing, Ms. Gupta was unfortunately subjected to a mind-numbing, repetitious line of questioning about whether or not she supports the police or wants to decriminalize all drugs. A conservative judicial organization launched a national ad campaign to smear her nomination. It was disgraceful. Just yesterday, a Republican senator on the Judiciary Committee grilled another DOJ nominee, Kristen Clarke, over an obviously satirical piece she published for her college newspaper. The political right seems to relish in trying to score political points by connecting every Justice Department nominee to hot-button partisan issues, whether or not they have any relevance, sometimes to the point of absurdity. And in the case of Ms. Gupta, the accusations of radicalism are especially false. Ms. Gupta has worked with stakeholders and legislators from all corners, including a number of Republican senators during various criminal justice reform efforts. She has been endorsed by, listen to this, the National Fraternal Order of Police. Let me repeat that so my colleagues hear it. She has been endorsed by the National Fraternal Order of Police, as well as the International Association of Chiefs of Police, the Federal Law Enforcement Association, and the National Sheriff's Association, making the decrying that she's a crazy left-wing radical just absurd And you wonder how and why they come to that conclusion. Vanita Gupta will make an outstanding Associate Attorney General. The Senate should discharge her nomination from the Judiciary Committee this afternoon. I yield the floor and note the absence of a quorum.
The clerk will call the roll.